Okay, got the 4590 Hesston inline small square baler apart. Putting new knife arms on the knotters. One new bill hook. Sharpening the twine knife. Pulled the plunger completely out of the baler. I've got that out. It was a good thing because you can see the plunger was actually scraping. The knives actually had hit the side of that bale chamber. Or the roller, actually that's a roller mark, I think. So a couple of the rollers were gone, or shot. One spring, one hay dog spring was broke, so that explains bale formation issues. I couldn't tell it was broke. One of these, this lower tab here on the spring was broke off, and it made a big difference. I actually put this spring on backwards in it to make it stronger. So yeah, those hay dog springs go. They really screw your bale formation up. And I had two of these rollers bad. One was completely shot, one was going. And then when I got into it, this is the plunger crank arm, or they call it the pitman arm. It goes right in here on the plunger. And that was, I noticed there was a lot of movement in here, so I put new bushings in here. And there's a new oil seal here that goes here. Then this is this plunger arm or plunger pin that goes through this crank arm through the plunger. And I went over to a buddy's last night and he made me up a new one because there's actually grooves here where these bushings are. So yeah, so I got a new pin because I had you know, movement on this arm. So that plunger, I was getting ready for a train right there. And gonna go ahead and I'm gonna put a brand new knotter brake pad in too. I put new chains on last year. Then I'll install this plunger back in, retime the baler, should be good to go. Gonna start cutting hay. If you want to see some good videos on repairing these inline balers, go to Bagwell Farms. He talks about the plunger removal to sharpen the knives, which I took his advice on that because I've tried to take the knives out of this before, and I've done the knives with the plunger in, and really doesn't take that much to get the plunger out. See it, that pin goes through there, and it's kept to the plunger. 3/8 bolt on each side of the plunger. But yeah, and that's nice and tight there. So those bushings, yeah, see, I'm not getting any movement there. And these rollers go bad too. There's 7 of them. Let's go on each side of this pitman arm assembly. So I did replace this one plunger knife. I've got another one for here. I didn't get another blade for the center here, but I kind of wished I did, because now I didn't realize how much this cutting edge has worn back. You compare it right down there, there's kind of a big difference in length. So that center knife does, boy, it did wear back evenly though and maintained an edge. Yeah, so you know, as these blades wear, they change these clearances where you adjust the depth between the plunger and the ledger knives using these shims. You put feeler gauges in there and adjust them, but you know, that's all going to change as you keep wearing these knives back, which makes me believe, well, I don't know, maybe every other year just put new knives in and calling it good. I've never done anything except just put the shims back in and then measured them, and they're always within ranges. So, and I watched how Bagwell Farms did it. He had these nuts relatively loose when he put the plunger back in the baler. And, you know, I don't know. If you don't have these tight, I don't know how you're adjusting the clearance very well. So I'm trying to understand the relevance of how exact you need to be with the feeler gauges. So you're going to have a hell of a time doing this in the chamber. Again, that's the beauty of removing the plunger, like Bagwell showed you. With your knife, I just sharpened it on the plunger. You know, it's a single plane blade, so you know, here's how they come from the factory. This one I had sitting around, I did sand off the rust a little. Single plane blade. You know, I'm almost tempted, like when you're sharpening a knife, to put that secondary edge there, but I would think that would keep it a little bit sharper longer. But you know, it's really not going to stay very sharp. It's going to have that coarse material going across it. So curious if anybody sharpens them any different, or if you just leave that single plane like that on there. Put it back in. You're gonna have to wedge these hay dogs out of the way to get it back in, and I'll see if I can lift it in myself. Might not be able to. Another thing, get that plunger installed. I'm gonna check the clearance of those knives though. One other thing I'm gonna do, the bale density doors. If you look at that, it's worn pretty thin. I'm gonna put a bead of weld all on here, dress this up so we got some wear, and then I think I'm gonna put some there's not a lot of wear on that chamber. Every time I put baler wedges in, they're too tight. I was thinking about putting a couple beads on the side there to tighten that chamber up a little bit, make a tighter bale. It's a good idea to touch these twine knives up too on a stone. This one, that one rubbed worth it a lot. This one here, that's about right there. That one came already adjusted. This thing, I'm gonna have to bend that thing. Use a crescent wrench for that. That's probably a little too much. That definitely is too much, because you can see it's not rubbing the bill hook. So it's not going to pull your knot off after it's cut. So that's a quick adjustment though. Just take the brass hammer and tap it down. That's better right there. Right there, it should hold up. And this other one might be a little bit too much actually. So yeah. Nah, actually that's pretty good. Should be able to hold it up. At least that's how I adjust my bill hooks. Like to, or bill hook pressure on that knife arm. Stripper arm, knife arm, twine arm, whatever you guys want to call them. But curious what comments are from any of you that are watching, how you adjust yours. Yeah, I got one hell of a gap there. So I just called the dealer, ordered more shims. So I can't, I'm probably 125 thousandths there between the ledger and the plunger knives. The side knives aren't that bad, but yeah. All right, a little bit more work to do. But ran through, cycled it, everything's in time. Changing the gearbox oil, the hydraulic pressure oil.